Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Alina Michelle and this is Mom Coach Wife. If you've already been here, thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate you watching my videos, being subscribed, and doing anything that you have been doing to support this channel. So thank you so much for your support. Today I am going to talk to you guys about my secret to getting all the things done that I get done. I didn't really think much about what I do, but because of a conversation that I had with another mompreneur, I found out that apparently there are a lot of things that I do and I didn't really think much on it. So I'm going to share with you guys some of the things that I do to make sure that I can get all these different tasks done, reach several of my goals successfully and whatnot. So let's get to it. So, like I said in the very beginning, this video was inspired by a conversation that I had with another mompreneur. And as I was telling her all the different things that I do, she was like, how is it that you do all these things? So, before I get into telling you guys what it is that I do to make sure that I get my different tasks completed, I'm going to tell you all of the different things that I do so that you kind of understand why it was that she asked me this question in the first place. She wasn't the first person to ask me, just the most recent one. So first and foremost, I am a human being and a woman, and so of course I have to take care of myself, my own health, and one of the ways that I do that is through fitness. So I work out approximately 3 times a week, sometimes more, sometimes less, really kind of just depends on my personal feelings, how I'm going about it, but I try to make sure that I at least get 3 workouts in a week. And I was doing a whole lot better before COVID and before quarantine and all of that. But now I'm about 3 times a week where I was doing about 5. I'm also an employee and I work for a property management company that does staffing for apartment complexes primarily. So I do the marketing and staffing for that company. I am an entrepreneur, as you are probably already aware of if you've been watching my videos. Then you know that I am an accountability coach for mothers primarily, and that I work on teaching moms how to hold themselves accountable and reaching their own personal goals and creating balance to not only be a mom but to be everything else that they want to be as well. I have a garden. Of course, I am a mother. I have an amazing 3-year-old daughter, and I'm also a wife to my husband, who we've actually been together for 10 years, but we've been married for almost 2 now at the time of me making this video. So it's just a list of things that are kind of like the headlines of what I do. Of course, there's a lot of tasks within it. Like right now, I'm doing about 3 different projects for work. I have a small group called The Balanced Mom on Facebook that I'm managing, as well as a online school called The Balanced Mom Academy that I also just created this year. So there is kind of a lot going on in my personal life, as well as my home that is consistently being worked on. I am the primary chef in my family, so I do most of the meals. So yeah, there's a lot that I do. I don't really think about it until I start talking to someone about it and realizing how much I do in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year. So now that you guys know a little bit more about what it is that I do and why, well, because you know, you'll probably see why she asked me, like, how is it that I do all that, maintain a job, create a business, raise a family, do all these different things. And it just never really dawned on me. I never really thought too much about it other than the things that I already teach. So let's just get into the list of things that I do to keep it all together. Like I shared with the lady that I was having this conversation with, I started really getting this all together probably really last year. I was on journey to getting there, and it didn't really start to click until last year. And one of the first things that I did, this was around November 2018, was get rid of all the nonsense. And by get rid of all the nonsense, I mean, like, I just cleared out everything that wasn't really related to who I am as a person, to what I really want for myself, for my family, and just what I didn't want around me. So it started off with me just deleting like Facebook friends. And I know that sounds like kind of minor, but it was a big deal. I remember getting on Facebook and seeing like so many things that just didn't align with me. Like, I wasn't happy about seeing them. They didn't motivate me. It was just like, why am I even consuming this? So I went through my entire Facebook page, and I think I had like close to 2,000 friends, like 1,000, 2,000 friends on there. It was a significant number. And I just went through, and like, if I hadn't talked to them in forever, I got rid of them. If they were posting things that were just completely against my beliefs and completely against where I was trying to go at that time and how I was thinking, I got rid of them. If I didn't even know why we were Facebook friends, like, I had a ton of people that I just didn't even know why we were Facebook friends, I got rid of them. So I just went through like this whole purge on Facebook, and then I also moved that over to Instagram and did the same thing. If it was someone that I was following and I didn't really feel engaged with their content, it wasn't something that was really serving me as a person and my goals, I unfollowed them. I didn't care if they unfollowed back. I didn't care what was going to happen to my own follower account. That wasn't important to me, because just like I wanted to clean out all of these people that were completely irrelevant to me, I also wanted my followers to be people who actually wanted to see my content and actually wanted to grow in this way and were relevant to what I was posting. So that was like one of the things, and that was just on social media. But also clearing out the nonsense was like anyone that I was entertaining or anything that I was like doing in my life, I got rid of. So there were apps that I deleted. There were people I totally deleted from my life because it just did not serve me anymore. And it wasn't that I was upset with them or anything. I just realized that we were on completely different paths, and there was really no reason for me to hold on to those relationships anymore. I realized that there were so many apps and different distractions that I was holding on to for the silliest of reasons, and it was just not for me anymore. So once I realized that and I just let those things go, I found first a whole lot of extra time. I used to read all the time, and as an adult it started to like slow down quite a bit, and then once I became a mother it was like non-existent. So once I got rid of all of that extra nonsense, I found myself reading again and reading books that I enjoyed, books that actually made me feel motivated. And overall, I just saw like such a huge change from just clearing out the nonsense, clearing out all the things that didn't align with me, whether it be people or things. It didn't matter. I just was like, nope, it's all gone. So that was one of the first things that I did in this journey that was really impactful to getting me to where I could focus on all of the things that were truly important to me. So one of the next things that I did was to create a routine. So I went back to work in October of 2019. And when I first went back to work, we really didn't know how this was going to go. I had been off work for over a year. I don't think I've shared my story and my journey of how I ended up a year off of work and then back to work, but I will talk about that in another video because it is kind of important to my journey, why I ended up here. But we'll do that in another video, and if I haven't already done that, I'll have to check because I may have done that in my very first one. But anyways, October 1st, 2019, I returned to work to my employer that I currently work for now. I had tried the route of just being self-employed and stay-at-home mom, and it wasn't everything that I needed it to be yet. So I decided that I was going to go back to work. And going back to work really kind of like turned my life on its side a bit because I had been home for over a year, or at least close to a year. I had been home, and it was just like something that I really had to adjust to. And I didn't really have a schedule prior to that. I had kind of played around with the idea a bit, and nothing really came of it, mostly because I was at home and I didn't really have a whole lot of responsibilities unless I had like a client that I was working with, and then I'd have a schedule for like that time frame while I was working with that client, and then I wouldn't have a schedule at all or a routine at all. And I found that doing a routine not only benefited myself, but it also benefited my daughter and my husband, because they pretty much knew where I was going to be at certain times and what was going to be happening, like when we were going to eat for the most part, when I was going to sleep, like, and everything in between. So having a routine was so critical in getting things together. At the same time of going back to work, I also went back to the gym. So I went from like working out at home here and there to getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and that started around like December, once I was able to figure out how I was going to work that in. But so about 2 months into me working, I started my routine of getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, going to the gym, and then going to work. And after work, I would come home and take care of my family and take care of my business. So it was very strict. And it was a lot to adjust to. It took a while, but once I adjusted to that routine, it went from me like writing it down all the time and like reviewing it almost every night to it being something that just kind of flowed. And like I already knew this is what I'm going to be doing at this time, and if I ever fell off of it, it was so much easier to get right back on, because it was like ingrained in my memory as to what it was that I was going to do. So set a routine. It makes life so much easier. I know some people are like, oh, well, I'm not a routine person. That's fine. I wasn't a routine person either. I pretty much just did whatever I knew I had to do. But a routine really helped me to see how much time I had in the day and how I could use that in a better way. One of the things that I think I'm most proud of that I did was focus. And that goes back into what I was talking about with the routine, is I really focused in on that routine. Like I wrote out a schedule from 5 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night, and I broke it down by hour, what it was that I was doing and what my goals were. Like it was all in there. I did an entire schedule for a week, and I pretty much stuck to it. Here and there were like these little things that I might have missed, but one of the things that really helped me stay strict to it was my focus. So I would have a task for that hour, and whatever that task was, that was what I stayed focused on. If I had an idea pop up that was about something completely different, I had a notepad, I'd write that down. Now I put it in my notes app on my iPad, but I would write that down and save it so that I knew to go back to it later, or it might go into my next week's schedule, and then I would focus on that thought. But what I was doing prior to that was like I would have a thought and I just run with it. And so I ended up being really busy and like getting absolutely nothing done, because I did a little bit here, a little bit here, and a little bit here, but nothing was really completed. When I started focusing in on a specific task, I started getting a lot more things done, and I didn't have like a whole bunch of projects that were started and never completed. What I found I prefer, at least, is to have one project that maybe I haven't started and I may not start for months, but I have all the details, all my thoughts as they come to me have been written down, but I'm not working on it until I've scheduled time to actually work on that particular project. So my focus really helped me to be able to do as much as I have been able to do, and to continue to build on the things that I've done. So when I launched the Balanced Mom Academy, I was completely focused on the course that launched the Academy, and at this time the only course that is on there, which is #GCAP, which is Goal Chasers Accountability and Productivity Program. That course is a pretty extensive course that takes you from creating a goal all the way through executing it, and it's things that you're going to repeat over and over and over again. And creating that and giving it the detail that would be needed, I had to focus on that specifically. So each section that I created, I was focused on it. I blocked out time where that was the only thing that I worked on. I let my husband know, like, I'm not available for these times. So it was the real turning point, was just being focused on a specific task. The same thing when I created the Balanced Mom group, was that I had to focus I had to focus on that particular group and what I wanted from it before I ever even launched it. And I put so much energy and time into just that task that there were other things that, you know, if I thought about other things I wanted to add in, they got put to the side until a later date. And when I go out to my garden to this day, my focus is specifically on the garden. It's specifically on what do I need here, what changes do I need to make, what's going well, what's not going well, and everything else is out of my mind. So, and some of you may know it as being mindful instead of having a mind full. So before, I had a mind full of things, right? And I would just put all of my energy into all these different thoughts, and I was running around in circles essentially. But once I started focusing on specific things and I was really mindful about whatever my task was at hand, I started to get a lot more done. And that's one of the biggest things as to why I'm able to do so many different things, and to continue to see success with them, and to continue to build on each of those things, because I really focus on those particular tasks. So focus. It's great to have a routine, but if you're not focused on each task in that routine when you're supposed to be focused on that task, it kind of breaks it all apart, and it becomes useless. I had several routines that I planned out prior to really setting up my focus that really never saw the light of day. So the last thing, and probably just as important as focus, is I was very disciplined. Like, I cannot tell you guys how many times I woke up in the morning and was like, I don't want to go work out. Like, I don't want to go to the gym right now. I want to just get back in the bed. And sometimes I did. Sometimes I listened to my body and said, okay, I need the extra rest. But I became really mindful of when it was my body that needed rest, or when I was just being lazy, and there was a difference. So when my body actually needed the rest, I took the rest. When I was just being lazy and I had all the energy and all the ability to go and do it, and I just didn't want to do it, I made myself get up and do it. To think that you're going to be motivated all the time is a true fantasy. It's just not real. You're not going to be motivated all the time. Nobody is. But you can be disciplined. You can know that what you need to do, and then just go and do it. Same thing with working on my videos. Same thing with working on my coaching. There have been times when I'm just like, I don't feel like doing this task. Like, I'm looking at my schedule, I'm looking at my to-do list, and I know this is what I'm supposed to do, and I just don't want to do it. Well, then I go back and I look at, why do I need to do this? Why is it important? What is the bigger goal? What role does this play in getting to the bigger goal? And I can quickly get myself back into the mind frame of, look, you just need to do this. Now, with that being said, same thing. If I don't have the mental capacity to work on something at that time, I will rest. I will put it into another time slot. I make sure to keep so many different time slots that are just blank, so that if I'm having a moment where, like, I'm not in the right mental space, I will step away. It's healthy to step away. I'm not saying to just push yourself beyond measure at all, but to be disciplined. And there is a difference. When you are disciplined, it's when you know that you have the capacity to do it, you have the ability to do it at that moment, and you just choose to do it even though you don't want to. When you take a rest, it's because you're just not at that capacity to do it. I have worked myself to a point where I'm mentally exhausted, and even if I have something left on my to-do list, I'm not going to touch it, because I know that I'm not going to give it my all, because I'm mentally exhausted. So being aware of your body, your mind in this time really does kind of play a role in discipline as well. But know when you're being lazy and when you're making an excuse versus when you truly need that rest. So it's one of the things that I had to learn about myself, was the difference between when I was making an excuse and when it was like, no, Alina, you really need to go take some rest. Like, you've done enough. You need to sit back and rest, because I can be my own worst enemy sometimes, and thinking that I can do everything all the time and not rest. So learning that was a big part of my discipline too, because I had to make sure that I was taking care of my health in the process of reaching all of these goals that I have. And I hope that you guys also are taking some time for yourself to rest when you need to, but not letting rest be the state that you're in all the time. So discipline is definitely one of the things that really helped me, and that's really it off of my list. I got rid of all the things that didn't really align with what I was doing. I told people no. I said no to things, and it felt so good to finally start saying no. I set a routine for myself. I focused on that routine, and I really like disciplined myself to do all of the different things that I needed to do, because some of the stuff is fun and some of the stuff is really annoying. But it's about pushing through and doing those things that you don't want to do. And also sometimes that was, like I said, taking a rest, taking a break and walking away and making myself do that. So that's my secret. It's just like, what, 4 things? Yeah, four things that I personally do to keep up with it all, to do all these things that I listed at the beginning of the video, which is have a business, raise a daughter, be a wife, have a garden, read books. I don't think I mentioned that at the very beginning. Run a business, be an employee. I might have duplicated a few things there, but just doing all those different things. It's not as crazy as it sounds. It's not as hard as it sounds. It really has to do with how bad you want it, how much you really want to see different goals and different dreams realized, and how hard are you going to work for it. That's pretty much the secret. So thank you guys for watching this video, and that's all I have for you. Thank you for watching this week's video. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, give it a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't, drop a comment, and hit the bell for notifications. And remember, you can connect with me outside of YouTube also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys next week. Goodbye.